it will rely on the updated voters register it obtained in March this year for the conduct of the August 30 local government elections. This decision comes despite the Independent National Electoral Commission's plan to commence a continuous voter registration exercise in the state ahead of future polls. Speaking in an interview with our correspondent, the RISIEC Commissioner in charge of political parties affairs, monitoring and security, Professor Godfrey Woke, explained that the Commission had carefully reviewed the updated register and found it adequate for the forthcoming council elections. He maintained that the document is comprehensive, reflects the current voting population in Rivers State, and will not disenfranchise any eligible voter during the polls. Professor Woke emphasized that RISIEC remains committed to conducting free, fair and credible elections, noting that the choice to use the March register was guided by both logistical considerations and the need to adhere to the Commission's election timetable. He assured stakeholders that all necessary arrangements are in place to guarantee a transparent process on August 30. Rivers State Administrator Vice Admiral retired Ibok Eta Eko Ibas has called on development partners to expand their interventions in the Niger Delta beyond fiscal infrastructure to include innovation hubs, industrial clusters, digital centers, and skills acquisition programs. Speaking at the Government House in Port Harcourt during a courtesy visit by the Minister of Regional Development, Engineer Abubakar Momo, Iba said meaningful progress in the region requires a holistic approach that combines infrastructure with economic empowerment and human capital development. He commended the Niger Delta Development Commission for its collaboration with the state, citing projects such as the ongoing Kataba Bridge in Ogoniland and the Borokri Ring Road in Okrika, which he described as economic arteries connecting communities. Minister Momo said his visit was part of a nationwide assessment tour of ongoing and abandoned NDDC projects, following President Bola Tinubu's directive to ensure their completion. He praised the IBAS for maintaining peace and stability in the state, noting that it has boosted investment and commerce. The meeting ended with a renewed commitment from federal and state stakeholders to drive sustainable development in the Niger Delta through infrastructure, innovation, and economic empowerment. Operatives of the Akwa Ibom State Police Command have arrested 7 suspected armed robbers and recovered firearms after raiding a shrine allegedly used by the gang to fortify themselves before operations in Ikot Osong village, Obod Akara local government area. The command's public relations officer, DSP Tim Fon John, disclosed this in a statement issued in Uyo, the state capital, on Saturday. Those arrested include David Efyong Silas, 29, Etido Udo Lazarus, 26, Etimbok Thursday Udofia, 25, and Ime Efyong Silas, also known as Udo Doctor, 27. Others are Joseph John Nelson, 31, Ndwese Solomon John, 32, and Imo Efyong Udofia, 22. Simfon described the operation as a major breakthrough in the fight against violent crime in the state, explaining that it followed the neutralization of one of the gang leaders during a foiled robbery attempt, as well as the arrest of the overall gang leader in his hideout in Imo State. According to her, the gang leader's confession provided critical intelligence that led operatives to the group's operational base in Ikot Osong, which also served as a shrine where members allegedly received native protection before carrying out their crimes. Items recovered from the scene included locally made cut-to-size double-barrel gun, 2 expanded cartridges, 1 live cartridge, 1 live 7.62mm AK-47 ammunition, 5 motorcycles, 1 bicycle, 3 face masks, 2 power banks, multiple mobile phones, a police crested cap, an army camouflage cap, as well as charms and a liquid substance believed to be used for falsification. While noting that the investigations were ongoing to recover more stolen items and apprehend fleeing members of the syndicate, the spokesperson reaffirmed the command's commitment to ensuring the safety and security of residents. Coordinator of this Edo Special Security Squad, Amel Lomen Noah, has warned criminal elements plotting to disrupt the August 16, 2025 Senatorial and House of Representatives by-elections to desist from such plans. He stated this when the squad stormed the Edo Central and Edo North senatorial districts of the state to flush out court leaders in both areas. In Edo Central, the operation covered strategic locations including the popular Ojurumi Modern Market in Uromi, as well as Ekpoma, Irua, and surrounding communities. In Edo North, the team visited Warake, Iyeki Road, Angle 90 and Aoshe Polytechnic campus, where they engaged the Chief Security Officer of the institution. Noah vowed that law enforcement agencies, in collaboration with the operatives, will be fully mobilized to prevent any security breach and ensure that offenders are apprehended and prosecuted. He cautioned against any attempts to derail the upcoming electoral process, stressing that the administration would not allow criminal groups to intimidate voters or disrupt the peace. Addressing a viral social media report of alleged sporadic gunfire at the Aoshe Polytechnic main gate on Wednesday, August 6, 2025, Noah clarified that the squad had visited the institution to investigate the claims but found no evidence of such an incident. Director of the Public Relations Division of Aoshe Polytechnic, Dr. Angela Egele, also debunked the report, stating unequivocally that no shooting occurred within or around the institution. She reaffirmed the school's zero-tolerance stance on cultism, warning that any student found engaging in such activities would face immediate expulsion after thorough investigation. Enugu Police Command has foiled a robbery attempt to neutralize one suspect and recovered firearms, ammunition, and other exhibits from the crime scene. The command spokesman, SP Daniel Ndukwe, confirmed in a statement that the incident happened around 4:10 a.m. on August 6 in Enugu. Ndukwe stated that a distress call alerted the Independence Layout Police Division to a robbery in progress at Premier Layouts, Enugu. Responding swiftly, the divisional police officer mobilized police operatives and members of the neighborhood watch group to the scene. On sighting the operatives, the gang opened fire. The team returned fire, killing one suspect. Others escaped. The dead suspect's identity is unknown. A search of the area and the suspect's body yielded a guts-to-size locally made single-barrel gun and one live cartridge. Also recovered were a locally fabricated Beretta pistol, one live round of ammunition, and a Nokia touch button phone belonging to the suspect. Other items included 2 iPhones belonging to victims, a red and black torchlight, a small red bag, and 9,000 and 1,000 notes. Indukena added that further investigations on Friday led to the recovery of a pump-action gun with 4 live cartridges. The weapon was found abandoned near the scene and is believed to have been left by fleeing gang members. The Commissioner of Police, Mr. Maman Giwa, praised the operatives' bravery and professionalism during the operation. He reaffirmed the command's determination to tackle violent crime and maintain public safety across Enugu State. Ogun State's government has denied claims by Senator Benga Daniel that recent quit and demolition notices served on some of his properties were politically motivated. This was contained in a statement signed by the Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Kayode Akinmade, on Saturday. According to the statement, the government described the senator's allegations as a barefaced lie, insisting that the notices were part of a routine town planning exercise. The state said the notices were served on many buildings in Shagamu government reserved area, where Daniel's property is located as part of a development audit in line with the Ogun State town planning law. It added that the exercise is not new and was even carried out during Daniel's tenure as governor. The government said the process has been in place and was even used when Benga Daniel was governor. It explained that the GRA is a government-planned estate that will always be under state regulation. According to the statement, all Daniel needs to do, just like anyone else who has received such notices in the area, is to take his planning permit and land title to the relevant agency for verification within the time given, instead of making it a political issue. The government added that the law applies to everyone with no special exemptions. The government questioned why Senator Benga Daniel didn't verify facts before going to the media to accuse Governor Abiodun. It was said claims that the government is targeting him are false, stressing that audits are a normal duty. Kano State Governor Alhaji Abba Yusuf has approved the immediate dismissal of 2 senior special assistants following the outcome of investigative committees that probed separate cases of misconduct. According to a statement issued on Saturday by the Secretary to the state government, Alhaji Umar Ibrahim, the affected officials are Abubakar Umar Sharada, Senior Special Assistant on Political Mobilization, and Tasiu Adamu Alamin Roba, Senior Special Assistant, Cabinet Office. Sharada was found culpable by a special investigative committee as the mastermind behind the controversial bail of a dangerous drug baron, Sulaiman Aminu Danwawu. His involvement was confirmed through his own testimony before the committee. He has been directed to hand over all government property in his possession to the Permanent Secretary, Research, Evaluation and Political Affairs Office of the SSG by the close of work on Monday, August 11, 2025, and warned against presenting himself as a public officer under the current administration. Roba was dismissed after his arrest in connection with the rebagging of palliatives grains at a warehouse in Sharada in 2024. He is currently facing charges of theft and criminal conspiracy for allegedly diverting public assets. In a related development, the government cleared Honorable Musa Aldo Samia, Special Advisor on Drainages, of all allegations after an investigative committee affirmed his innocence. Governor Yusuf reiterated his administration's commitment to discipline, transparency, and zero tolerance for corruption, urging public officials to uphold the highest standards of integrity in both official and private conduct. Bauchi State Police Command says it has rescued 2 kidnapped victims in a joint operation that left 1 suspected bandit dead and an AK-47 rifle recovered. The incident followed an attack by gunmen on Kataraje village near Kargo and Alkaleri in the Guana district of Yankari Game Reserve in the early hours of Friday. Police spokesperson CSP Ahmed Mohammed Wakil said in a statement issued on Saturday that the attack occurred at about 2:30 a.m., during which 2 residents, 60-year-old Alhaji Ango Malam Idi and 35-year-old Musa Alhaji Shumu, were abducted. 2 others, identified as 50-year-old Rabiu Saleh and 45-year-old Saleh Ako, sustained injuries. According to Wakil, the command received information from residents of Yalo and Mansour communities at about 6 a.m. on Saturday and quickly mobilized a joint operations team to the scene. Wakil added that the hostages were rescued unhurt and reunited with their families. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network, and now to the rest of our stories. President Bola Tinubu has paid tribute to a former Minister of Agriculture and ex-People's Democratic Party's national chairman, Chief Audu Ogbe, describing him as a patriot who believed deeply in the nation's potential. The family of the former minister announced his death in a statement earlier on Saturday. In a statement on Saturday by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the president said the late politician was always ready with facts and figures to support his propositions and a man of strong convictions who spoke the truth as he saw it. The president added that Ogbe's contributions to Nigeria's agricultural development, political stability and democratic growth will remain indelible in the country's history. Tinubu extended condolences to the government and people of Benue State, as well as Ogbe's family, friends, and associates, praying the Almighty God will receive his soul and comfort his family at this difficult time. President Bola Tinubu has approved measures aimed at improving the welfare of pensioners under the Defined Benefit Scheme. A statement issued by the head of Corporate Communications at the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, Olubenga Ajayi, said the development marks a significant milestone in Nigeria's pension reform efforts. Ajayi also noted that PTAD had previously settled areas related to the first pension increment of 20% to 28%, which came into effect in January 2024. The approvals, which align with the President's Renewed Hope agenda, contained the immediate implementation of an extra budgetary allocation to enforce new pension rates for DBS pensioners. The President also endorsed the adoption of a proposed pension harmonization policy, which will be incorporated into the 2026 pension budget. Additionally, health insurance coverage for all DBS pensioners has been approved, ensuring access to essential health care services. The President's directive included unpaid liabilities owed to NITEL and MTEL pensioners and other retirees from defunct parastatals in the 2026 budget proposal. These approvals follow a formal request submitted by Odunaya, who had urged the presidency to authorize emergency budgetary allocations to implement critical pension reforms. The proposed reforms include a new pension rate of 32,000 naira and incremental increases of 10.66% and 12.95% for pensioners from defunct and privatized agencies. Other components of the reform package include harmonization of pension rates across all DBS pensioners and the enrollment into the National Health Insurance Scheme. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar on Saturday described the appointment of Rivers State Sole Administrator Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas as illegal and warned the Nigerian government about the implications of allowing him to oversee local government elections in the state. He reacted to concerns raised by elder statesman Atedo Peterside, who criticized the proposed local government election in Rivers State, cautioning against undermining Nigeria's democracy. Atiku condemned the planned polls, stressing that the situation in Rivers State, where an unconstitutional sole administrator is set to conduct council elections, poses a broader threat to the country's democratic process. He called on all well-meaning Nigerians to reject the move. Peter Obi, presidential candidate of Labour Party during the 2023 presidential election, has advocated for a 5-year single term for president in Nigeria. Obi said this in Bauchi on Friday when he paid a courtesy visit on Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State. According to him, there shouldn't be any second tenure of a president, adding that instead of the 4-year tenure, it should be 5 years as practiced in South Korea. The 2027 presidential hopeful insisted that if elected as Nigerian president in 2027, he will only serve for 1 term, promising that he won't spend a day longer than 4 years in office. He added that if given the opportunity to serve Nigeria, he would ensure that every political party functions properly. Obi said he would ensure that political parties were bigger than the elected people. And now to some business news. Dangote Refinery has commenced phased receipts of the 4,000 compressed natural gas trucks as its petroleum products distribution operations are expected to kick off across the country. The development forms part of the company's logistics program to herald product distribution this month. The initiative hopes to transform the distribution landscape in Nigeria by reducing logistics costs and enhancing supply efficiency for customers. In June, the refinery said it invested over 720 billion naira to implement the landmark initiative for the nationwide distribution of petroleum products, which is expected to save Nigerians over 1.7 trillion naira annually. The initiative is also poised to significantly benefit over 42 million micro, small and medium enterprises by reducing energy costs and enhancing profitability. The initiative, which eliminates transportation costs for fuel marketers and large-scale consumers, is expected to help reduce pump prices and inflation, From 15 August, Dangote will begin the direct delivery of petrol and diesel to filling stations, industrial facilities, and other high-volume consumers. According to a statement from the refinery, it aims to meet Nigeria's daily consumption of 65 million litres of refined petroleum products. This includes 45 million litres of premium motor spirit, 15 million litres of diesel, and 5 million litres of aviation fuel. With the average logistics cost estimated at 45 naira per litre, the refinery will cover over 1.7 trillion naira annually in free distribution expenses. Nigerian National Petroleum Company Retail Limited has dismissed a pump attendant caught in a viral video attempting to defraud the customer at its Ikorodu station in Lagos. In a statement, the company confirmed that the thorough investigation traced the incident to its Ikorodu outlet, stressing that such conduct was unacceptable and does not reflect NNPC Retail's values of integrity, transparency, and exceptional customer service. As part of disciplinary measures, NNPC Retail said it has sacked the pump attendant, suspended the station manager, and issued a formal warning to the dealer in line with its sanction grid. The company thanked members of the public for their vigilance and urged customers to report any misconduct via the customer service contact displayed at its stations for prompt action. Foreign direct investments into Nigeria dropped sharply by 70.6% quarter-on-quarter to $126.29 million in the first quarter of 2025, down from $421.88 million recorded in the final quarter of 2024, according to the latest Capital Importation Act report released by the National Bureau of Statistics. The steep decline in FDI occurred despite an overall increase in capital importation into the country, indicating that foreign investors are favoring short-term, high-yield financial instruments over long-term, productive commitments in the Nigerian economy. On a year-on-year basis, FDI posted a modest growth of 5.97% compared to $119.18 million recorded in the same period of 2024. However, this marginal increase has done little to shift the broader trend of dwindling interest in long-term investment. The data show that FDI made up only 2.24% of total capital imported into the country in the first quarter 2025, down from 8.29% in the preceding quarter and below the 3.53% recorded in the first quarter 2024. Meanwhile, total capital importation rose to $5.64 billion in first quarter 2025, an increase from $5.9 billion in the first quarter 2024 and $3.8 billion in the first quarter 2024. The figures reflect a growing disconnect between headline capital inflows and actual investment in sectors capable of driving economic growth. Although the headline rise in capital importations might suggest renewed investor confidence, a closer examination reveals that over 90% of these inflows were directed into short-term money market instruments such as government bonds and treasury bills rather than equity or direct investments. These instruments, while important for managing liquidity and stabilizing the naira, did not contribute meaningfully to industrial growth, employment generation, or infrastructure development. You are still watching the news on Atlantic Television Network. Up next is International Tidbits. Military junta has ruled the West African nation since seizing power in a 2023 coup, promising to crack down on Niger's myriad security issues. Juntas in Niger, neighboring Burkina Faso, and Mali have ramped up pressure on foreign mining companies in recent years, with Niger nationalizing the local branch of French uranium giant Orano in June. Australian group McKinnell Resources Limited took control of the Societe de Mines du Liptako gold mine, situated on the bank of the river Niger, in 2019 after purchasing a majority stake from a public firm. In 2023, industrial gold production at the mine amounted to 177 kilograms, while artisanal production in the country totaled 2.2 tons, according to a report by the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. Niger's junta said since McKinnell's takeover of SML, the mine has fallen into an alarming economic situation. It criticized the Australian firm for failing to implement a $10 million investment plan, which the junta said has led to tax and wage arrears, worker layoffs, and significant increased debt, as well as production stoppages. In May, a bomb blast in jihadist-driven West Niger killed at least 8 workers at the SML mine in the Tilaberi region. The army has deployed more than 2,000 soldiers to fight the jihadist groups in the surrounding region at the epicenter of the violence racking the country. Iran has voiced strong opposition to the Lebanese government's decision to disarm Hezbollah, the Tehran-backed militant group. The Lebanese cabinet on Tuesday authorized the army to prepare a plan granting the state exclusive control over weapons, effectively requiring Hezbollah to disarm by the end of the year. The move comes in the aftermath of a war between Israel and Hezbollah that significantly weakened the group's military strength and political influence. The decision, driven by pressure from the United States and anti-Hezbollah factions in Lebanon, aims to prevent further Israeli military escalation on Lebanese territory. Iranian officials have framed the disarmament initiative as the result of foreign interference, particularly from the US and Israel. While retreating Tehran's support for Hezbollah, Iranian diplomats emphasized that the decision ultimately rests with the group itself. Hezbollah, for its part, has outright rejected the cabinet's plan, dismissing it as invalid. The Lebanese government has tied its disarmament efforts to the implementation of the November ceasefire that ended the recent hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a key member of Iran's Axis of Resistance, a regional alliance of armed groups opposed to Israel, which includes Hamas in Gaza and Yemen's Houthi rebels. Syria was also considered a central part of this network under former President Bashar al-Assad, but his ouster in December has shifted the region's strategic landscape. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has ruled out ceding any territory to Russia just hours after Washington and Moscow confirmed the high-profile summits aimed at ending the three-year war. U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin are scheduled to meet on August 15 in Alaska, the U.S. state closest to Russia, for talks the Kremlin says will focus on a long-term peaceful settlement to the conflict. Announcing the meeting on Friday, Trump hinted at some swapping of territories to the betterment of both Ukraine and Russia, without elaborating. Zelensky rejected the idea, writing on social media that Ukrainians will not give their land to the occupier. The Ukrainian leader said Kyiv was prepared for real decisions that could bring peace, but stressed such a settlement must be dignified. Since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022, more than 10 million people have been displaced and tens of thousands killed. Multiple negotiation rounds between Moscow and Kyiv this year has failed, with Putin refusing to meet Zelensky and Kyiv insisting on being part of a final deal. The Alaska summit will be the first face-to-face meeting between the sitting U.S. and the Russian president since Joe Biden met Putin in Geneva in June 2021. The Kremlin has called the location logical given the state's proximity to Russia and overlapping economic interests in the Arctic. And here now is ATN Sports News. Manchester United signed Slovenian international Benjamin Sesko on Saturday, the third forward the 20-time English champions have acquired in a close season. The 22-year-old's arrival from RB Leipzig on a 5-year contract completes an overhaul of the Red Devils attack. The 5-year contract includes a guaranteed payment of £66.3 million, with a reminder in add-ons according to reports. Sesko, who has scored 16 goals in 41 international appearances, is United's third major signing in attack, following the arrival of Matthews Cunha for £62.5 million and Brian Mbeumo for £65 million and £6 million in add-ons. Sesko had also been linked with Newcastle, but once again, the Howies League Cup winners failed to land their target, despite being able to offer European football this season, unlike Manchester United. Sesko, though, said he felt a vibrancy around the club as they seek to rebound from a desperately disappointing 2024-2025 campaign. Bendel Insurance have announced the signing of midfielder Austin Osayande for the 2025 and 26 Nigeria Premier Football League (NPFL) season. The Benin Nationals unveiled the player at a brief ceremony on Friday. Osayande joined the Benin Nationals from Rivers United. He managed only 2 appearances for Rivers United last season. ATN recalls that Bendel Insurance have also added Israel Emmanuel to their squad for the new season. Real Madrid have agreed on a deal with Atletico Mineiro over the signing of their attacking midfielder Reina. They launched Blancos in a post on their website on Friday, also expressed gratitude to Reina for the years he spent at the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium. The Spanish Giants wished the 23-year-old player and his family all the best in his new club. Reina moved to Real Madrid 5 years ago from Brazilian side Flamengo. Meanwhile, in another development, Liverpool have announced the appointment of Gareth Taylor as the club's new women head coach. Taylor has a wealth of Barclays Women's Super League experience. He left Manchester City in March this year after a 5-year spell in charge. The 52-year-old won the Women's FA Cup and League Cup and also finished second in the WSL. And now, entertainment news. Socialite and entrepreneur Cubana Chief Priest has been denied a visa to the US and is set to miss the wedding of Nigerian Afrobeat superstar Davido. Cubana Chief Priest took to his Instagram page to explain why he would be absent at the event on Saturday. According to him, he woke up with mixed feelings because he will miss his best friend's wedding. He also used opportunities to plead with the Nigerian government, specifically at us in Nigeria, for assistance in securing a visa to America. President of the creative industry group, Felix Duke, has accused operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission of raiding his hotel in the Abule Egba area of Lagos State, disrupting operations, destroying property, and allegedly stealing money. Speaking with journalists on Saturday, Duke said the officials, numbering 8 on Friday, August 1, 2005, stormed Duke and Duchess Hotel in an unmarked bus without presenting a valid warrant. The musician claimed the raid was connected to a fraud allegation leveled against him by a retired soldier with whom he is in a land dispute. Duke described the action as an act of intimidation, accusing the EFCC of using the retired soldier's petition as a cover to harass him. According to him, the matter stems from a land dispute, and he had previously filed a petition against the retired soldier, who he believes is using the anti-graft agency to retaliate. Duke said he has taken legal action by filing a lawsuit against the EFCC and the petitioner for violation of his fundamental human rights. In his suit, he demanded an apology and 50 million naira in general and exemplary damages. When contacted on Saturday, the EFCC spokesperson Dele Oyewale denied that the EFCC officials raided their property. Popular Nigerian musician Mr. Easy has wedded billionaire daughter Temi Otedola in Iceland. The couple reportedly held a wide reception on Friday, August 8, 2005 at Iceland's iconic Hallgrímskirkja Church. Mr. Easy exchanged vows with Temi in the presence of their close family members and friends. Other public figures at the private ceremony were Africa's richest businessman, Aliko Dangote, content creator, Brother Shaggy, among others. A trending video on social media also captured the bride's sister, Gigi Kupi, and their mother. It recalls that the singer proposed to Temi, the daughter of Nigerian billionaire Femi Otedola, in April 2022. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. RISEC confirms March voters register for Rivers local government elections. Article 4 to Rivers local government polls cites threats to democracy. Tinubu mourns ex-PDP chair Ogbe. And Dangote refinery deploys 4,000 trucks for fuel distribution. President Zelensky rejects land concessions to Russia. Manchester United signed forward Benjamin Sesko. Cubana Chief Priest denied visa to attend Davido's wedding. I am Favor G. Kwesiri Michael. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter at Atlantic TV Net and on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network and on Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. And don't forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. To have a pleasant night rest.